Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows. So I had someone ask for my English muffin bread recipe and I realized we hadn't made it yet, so we're gonna make it. I got this recipe offline years ago, offline, whatever, and I don't remember where I got it, but the English muffin bread recipe makes 3 loaf pans of bread. So we're gonna start 5 cups of warm water. 7 teaspoons of yeast. So for those new to cooking, this is something I had to learn. 3 teaspoons is equal to 1 tablespoon. So it makes measuring easier when you're measuring a lot. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons. And then I have a ½ teaspoon measuring here, so I'll do 2 of those. So again, 7 teaspoons of yeast altogether. I'm just measuring it different. 3 tablespoons of sugar. And if you hear kids in the background, I'm home with Naomi on down. Mark and Virginia have ventured to the store. We have heard that they've started putting limits on things, so you can only get like 2 gallons of milk and stuff like that. And for our family, that doesn't last very long. For those of you who saw last night, here's my bowl of milk. The Walmart milks break when you put them in the freezer. So I had to get them out of their containers. They had started to, the bottom seam ripped. So that's my milk. Okay, so I put in the sugar. We need 2 tablespoons of salt. Oh, for people who are new to bread baking, if you put the water, the sugar, and the yeast in and you let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, it will get foamy, which shows you that your yeast is alive. I cook so often that I know my yeast is alive and I keep this in the freezer. I use it directly from the freezer into my recipes. So I know that my yeast is good, but this would be the time to wait and see if your yeast is good. Once it gets foamy, you add the rest of your ingredients. But I don't do that step. Because I know my yeast is active. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of salt. And then we're going to add 11 cups of flour. You hear the kids at the table, they're all coming. So I'm going to just check that the camera is actually on, because I'm trying to do this myself. It is. Very good. So this is going to take a total of 11 cups. Hi, Naomi. They're coming from all sides of me. So we're gonna add 6 to start. Mix that up, and then we'll add more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. This recipe is really nice because you don't have to knead it. So if you're somebody who has trouble with kneading bread for whatever medical reason, arthritis, those types of things, and it also has a shorter rise time than the French bread recipe that we normally make. So this is a good one if you don't have a whole lot of time. It's also very, very yummy. So it is called English Muffin Bread because it has very, very large holes in the bread, like you would think in an English muffin that absorbs so much yummy butter. We love this recipe. So I'm trying to get out some of the lumpy, the little clumps of flour that are here. So I've done 6 cups, and then I'm just going to add 1 more cup at a time till we get to 11. So 7. This is also an easy recipe if you're not one to normally bake bread. Bread can be a little difficult when you're first learning because it depends on how humid the air is that day, how much water is already in your flour just from the humidity of the air, on how much flour you need to add, and then kneading it when it looks right. There's a lot that it's easier to learn when somebody's standing there teaching you how to do it. This recipe is kind of fail-proof. So So this is number 8. I'll show you what it looks like after. It's going to be a very, very wet dough. Just because that's how it is. You're going to actually like spoon it into your bowls instead of like a kneaded bread that you would form. And kind of spoon it in. So that was number 8. Kids going back and forth. And number 9. This quarantine has given us a lot of time to color. So we have been coloring pictures and using up some of our coloring books. We've been gifted a lot of coloring books over the years, which are great. But, you know, kids will color them for a little bit of time and then they lose interest in that coloring book. This is a whole new interest. That was number 9. This is number 10. I would not suggest doing this in like a KitchenAid or anything like you would normal bread because this one doesn't need to be kneaded. So you could, I don't know if you really can overwork the dough, but because you don't need it to get to a certain consistency, it's easy to want to keep adding flour to it. So this is number 10. One more. Number 11. For those that are watching, I think I mentioned this in another video, but I didn't realize people don't know this about me. I have a form of, kind of like a form of muscular dystrophy, depending who you ask, it falls under that or not. It's called Charcot-Marie-Tooth. And I don't have a whole lot of hand strength. So like I can knead bread, but my hands get tired very easily, and I don't have a ton of strength. So if something, like I have a hard time opening jars sometimes. All of these jars don't need to be sealed really, really tight. But if it's like a brand new jar, I can't open it and I need to have my family open it for me. So just know that if I can do these recipes, probably the average, 10-year-old could do the recipes too, just if you're looking at the strength that's needed. So, and my 10-year-old is standing behind the camera. What you doing over there, buddy? Okay, so here's the English muffin bread. That's what it looks like. You see, it's not what you would think of as a normal bread dough. It's just that consistency. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the oven and we're going to let it rise until it's about double the size. And then we'll put it in pans and I'll show you that process. We put ours in the oven because we keep our house fairly cool. Sorry, my hands are clean here. We keep our house at about 60 at night and 65 during the day. So it's a little cool for bread rising. It takes a while. So we put it in the oven at a very low temperature. Hold on. We'll turn the camera. You can come see if it sees me. Okay. So I usually turn the oven to about 350 degrees and I leave it for about 45 seconds to get the oven warm. And then that way there's also not a draft. My son's making motions to me behind the camera. They're all okay. You can see them? See all the people? Go ahead, you can show the people at the table. See, they're all sitting there so calmly.
Abigail.
Okay. So I let the oven warm for about 45 seconds and then I turn it off, and that also prevents drafts from hitting the edge of the bowl and making the dough sink during the rise time. You'll also see when I do the bread next, I'll put it in the pans, and then I'll put those pans back in the oven. And when it's time to cook, I just turn it on and let it preheat with the bread in the oven. It's always worked for me. I know that's not the proper way to bake. You put it in once it's heated, but it works for me, so that's what we do. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna put this in. It is 8:21 right now, so I will tell you when it's doubled, like I'll tell you the time. Because we make this so often, I don't use a timer very much at all. So I don't know exactly how long I bake this. So when we come back, I will tell you how long I let it rise. I'll do the second rise and then tell you how long it bakes. So see you in a little bit. Hey guys, we're trying to do a video real quick because Mark and Virginia are on the way back from the store. They did find some stuff. So here is our bread. I probably could have taken it out a little while ago because it was doubled, but I was feeding a baby. So I took my pans. 3 of them. Everyone's gonna come help me. There's nothing really to help with. Am I still on camera, Stephen? So we're going to take our pans and we're going to fill them with bread, you'll see it's not normal bread texture. Samuel, when you kicked it, did it go out?
No, it's still on.
It's very, very airy, and it has lots of bubbles. And so what you want to do is just try to make the pans fairly even with how much you put in. So I just go back and forth between pans. What? Okay, Abigail, I need you to get down and come stand on the other side so that I can actually reach all the pans. You can stand on the other side of him. Or you can stand over there on the stool, that's fine, but I can't reach all the pans over. So, the kids like to help in the kitchen. While we've been waiting for this to rise, oh, I told you I'd tell you the time. So this probably could have been taken out 10 minutes ago. It is right now 9:15, so it's been in for 55 minutes. It probably could have been in for 45 minutes and been fine. So, and I don't know if I said these pans were just sprayed with vegetable oil. Okay. Yeah, that's all that's in them is just the vegetable oil. I don't need your help doing it. Thank you, though. So I just try to get the pans even looking of how much goes in each. This makes a good sized loaf. I will show you at the end, but just for comparison's sake, we made this the other day. And here's a loaf of the French bread, the English muffin bread. For us, that loaf is one meal. Maybe we'll cut into a second one depending on what we're having for the meal, but like we were doing eggs and toast, we could do one loaf of bread for our family. I know that seems like a lot. People might say that's not the healthiest and everything, but you have to remember I'm feeding 8 people, plus I'm eating for nursing a baby. So that's a lot more food than if you're a family of 2 or 3. So please don't bother me in the comments with how I do not feed my family well, because I'm making sure they have full bellies and we add stuff to this loaf of bread. When I say that we have a loaf of bread for a meal, we're not eating just bread. It's the carby portion of our meal. So here we go. We've got our loaves of bread, and I'm going to put them in the oven to let them finish rising. Next. And for those who are watching the video, he's holding the milk that I showed in the bowl earlier. We broke up all the chunks and we put it in jars. So it does have to go away in the fridge. So we'll see in a little bit when we're ready to bake it. We put that in at 9:15 into the greased pans, and I'm now going to turn it on to, well, I'll show you first. Go ahead, Samuel. So they have now risen to the top of the pans. This one's trying to escape, so we're going to just put him back in a little bit. There we go. And we're going to turn this to 350, which is the temperature that it's going to cook at. Like I said, I preheat it with the bread in the oven. So 9:39. And now I will see how long this takes to cook, Morgan, because I don't remember. But we'll have this video ready for you in a little bit. Okay, Samuel's doing my video camera and you hear noise because I just told the kids to get their shoes and stuff on to go outside and play in the snow. So, I just turned the oven off. It's been on for 55 minutes. And, real life, my bread escaped the pan. So, it is what it is. And here comes Grandma in the back door. For everyone who wants to know, we are self-quarantining. Grandma comes in and sits. You can show the setup. Grandma sits on the back porch behind a gate. And then we only have so much interaction with her. Okay, so back over here. So I let these go a little long in the rising process. I told you I should have taken them 10 minutes beforehand. This is how the bread comes out. And then you want to pour it out of the pan while it is still hot, but because it went over the side, it might be a little hard for me to do. Oh, fell right out. So there we go. That is how you make English muffin bread. Again, this makes 3 loaves, and I hope you enjoyed that recipe.